In today's video, I'm going to talk about how to find customers. And in reality, there are three types of customers that you can get. Okay, we have our worst case scenario type customers, which we can call our nightmare customers. And then we have our best case scenario, our dream customers. And somewhere in between, down in the middle, that's our actual customers. Anytime we acquire customers, we're somewhere in between that spectrum. And my goal for today's video is how do we attract our dream customers? And if you're running a business, you know how much of a headache it is when we have customers that are on this side of the spectrum. So what we want is, with time and service, we want our customers, we want to shift them over to our dream customers and eventually become dream customers. And it's all a process. It's not something that just happens automatic once you receive a customer. But at the same time, a customer could easily drift over to the nightmare customers. And really, it's not that a customer wants to be a nightmare customer. A lot of time it's just expectations and communication. They go off the rail, and next thing you know, everybody's on different pages. And everybody's talking different languages, and the whole project pretty much goes down the drain. It's not that people want to become nightmare customers. A lot of time it's just the way we set it up from the beginning. It eventually becomes a nightmare project. So before I start talking about how to find these dream customers, let's first talk about how to avoid our customers moving into the nightmare customer section. So I have 3 tips to avoid nightmare customers first. And when we're talking about customers, I think something that's very important, especially us as embroiderers. I think embroidery, it's not really made for everybody. Not everybody has the budget. Not everybody is prepared for embroidery. So an easy way to get nightmare customers is customers looking for the cheapest, lowest prices. And if you're advertising or you're promoting prices that are very low, just so at the very end you could upsell them later down the line, I think that's the number one way to get nightmare customers, because when it's time to present an invoice and a bill, all of a sudden it's sticker shock. And my advice is to put down the total price from the beginning. From the beginning, have clear expectations, because there's so many different ways we can upsell, where we can start stacking up prices. But what you want to do, if you do start stacking up prices, they know from the beginning. For example, some people charge a hooping fee, a trim fee, different color fee, and there's a lot of jargon in embroidery, and you can start confusing the customer. So number one way to get nightmare customers is by surprising them with prices. Be upfront. You don't want to do those old school tricks where you bring them in with some low prices and then you kind of get them at the very end, right? Those days are long gone. For our shop, I think something that has really worked for us for avoiding nightmare customers and nightmare projects is by setting conditions, setting your rules, your shop rules. 2 main important conditions. I would say the first one is your minimum quantity. By setting a minimum quantity, so let's say you're doing 12 hats as a minimum quantity, any new customers requesting service, if you set a limit, it's like you're putting a filtration on your business. You're going to start filtering people that are not so serious about a major project. Now, there's going to be times where somebody's going to tell you, hey, I just want to make 1 hat as a sample, and then later down the line, I'm going to order more. I've been in that situation, and there's been times where, yes, it did bring more business, but I would say more times it actually didn't do anything. Like, that's all it was. It's a one-off. They kind of changed their mind and they're not going the embroidery route. I would say in situations like that where somebody's promising you something, this is where it's all gut. You have to go with your gut. The best thing to do is to actually talk to somebody face to face, so you can get a feel for somebody. Sometimes like your body is telling you whether this is a good idea or it's not. But I know for us, for the most part, unless I know you, unless you're a family, a friend, an acquaintance, somebody brought you in, I'm saying no. Another condition that I like to set is a minimum price. For example, if we set a minimum price, all hats are at least $25. If you tell somebody, a brand new customer, potential customer, that your starting price is X amount of dollars, let's say $25 for a hat, the ball is now on their court. They have to make that decision. Do we move forward or is that too much? And in reality, embroidery, it's not made for everybody. Not every company can afford to do embroidery. So by you setting your minimum quantities, your minimum pricing, you're putting your conditions and you're filtering customers that are serious and then customers that are kind of like on the fence, or potential customers that are just looking for the lowest prices. So that's just one key way before moving forward, before finding customers. Let's draw a filter. And it's not that we don't want to work with everybody. We just can't work with everybody. There's not enough time in the day. There's not enough resources. And I know for us, we're a home business. I do a lot of work after I work. So I have to be as efficient as possible. Not only are you trying to save time for yourself, but of course you're trying to find time for your potential customer. Biggest thing on finding nightmare customers, don't be afraid to say no, because when you say no to a project that can become a nightmare project, you're actually allowing more time to find your dream customers. And now transitioning on how to find our dream customers, I always like to start best case scenario. And I have 3 tips on finding these dream customers. And these 3 really, they're like the oldest trick in the book. But sometimes we have to bring them up again because so much technology, so much new stuff happens that we get lost in all this excessive information. But number 1, I think this is the best one. This is the one that's helped our shop work with some of the best customers we can ever ask for. And that is word of mouth. Word of mouth, what happens when somebody recommends your shop to somebody else? This new potential customer is coming in with trust. There's already a seed planted, a seed of trust. And that's the most important thing in business, is for somebody to trust you. Hey, I have this project and I trust you that you can complete this project. When you are working with a customer, you got to make sure you are thinking word of mouth to that customer. You want to make sure every little detail, every step of the process was met at high expectation of service. Because at the very end, you're going to tell that customer, do you know anybody that needs embroidery services? If they are a business owner, that's an automatic yes, because business owners hang out with business owners. Everybody needs embroidery. So word of mouth, repeat customers, bringing in customers. Because really, all you really need to start an embroidery shop is 3 customers. Because those 3 customers are going to bring 2 customers. And now what happens? It's like your fingers just grew trees, right? Now we have 3, 6, 9 customers. Now we're going to start multiplying in exponential numbers. And once you start growing exponentially, there's no need for advertisement. There's no need for trying to convince somebody that you can provide a service. Now, tip number 2 on getting dream customers. And this is a difficult one because it took us a while to kind of accept this for us. And that is specialize in a product, in a garment. What is your superpower? What is your strength? When somebody thinks of your shop, what do they think of? When I'm talking to companies, I want to sell hats, polos. I am going there for hats, polos. As embroiderer, we can do everything under the sun. We pretty much could do everything. And this is always kind of like a debatable topic right here. Should you be a one-stop shop? Should you do everything? Or should you be specialized? I am in the mentality and the team of I want to be specialized. When you are specialized, when you have a superpower, a strength, customers come to you directly for that single service. And just because you're specialized, that doesn't mean you're locked in one thing. That just means that's what you're known for. And the best thing about this is if somebody has a question, I have answers right away because that's what we do. And that's the same thing that I would recommend is whatever your superpower is, people are going to come to you with that. And the last thing you want is to take days to answer. Somebody has a question and you're not really familiar with certain products. Now you have to go out and research and start from scratch. Now you're really starting from ground zero. But I know because people tell me I'm working on this project that I hate. I don't like to do this. So that goes from the beginning, from step number 1, where we have to say no to projects we don't like. And customers, if you don't tell them what you like, they're not going to know. Sometimes we get like the craziest requests on random garments, projects to do. And this is where your gut, you always have to believe in your gut. If you feel like, you know what, I don't want to start experimenting on a job, especially if it's a big job. And that's where knowing what you specialize, knowing what you like. It might sound a little basic, especially when you're trying to find customers. You don't want to just say, hey, I can do everything, because you're going to get the most random projects and you're not going to be ready for that. And there are so many different random projects that you can get. But if you want to be challenged, if you like being challenged, if you like researching and, spending extra time per project, that's fine, right? You're going to learn a lot and it's going to take a lot of resources, especially the most important resources, which is time. So the number 2 to find dream customers, you want customers that are coming to you requesting items that you specialize in. Let's talk about the number 1 way to acquire dream customers, all right? And this one here really is like the oldest trick in the book, but it works. And percentage wise, it's very high, especially for us. When I use this method, it brings in customers from left and right. And that is create a custom made product for your dream customer. If you want to work with a company, create a hat for them, create a polo shirt for them. Not just to anybody, right? You want to make sure you're in communication with a decision maker or somebody that really spreads the word in a company. There's been so many times. It's just a lot of times I'm giving products to friends, family. If they're working somewhere, I'm telling them, hey, send me your logo. I'm going to create you a hat. And I kid you not, within a week, I start getting these phone calls. Hey, everybody at work loves this. They want to place an order. All right. That is the oldest trick in the book, because sometimes you don't know how great something looks until it's in your hands and you're physically seeing something. Especially decision makers, they like to bring that because it brings cohesion. It brings unity within an organization. That's the oldest trick in the book. And it doesn't have to be something crazy. It's not like you have to do a big full jacket back. It could be something very simple. And you already know logos are the most simplest form of embroidery. I like to do hats. It's easy for me because I could digitize it. I could stitch it out and no expectations. If I give something out to somebody, there is zero expectation. And these are seeds that we're sending out. You're sending out seeds, especially as a business owner. We're sending out seeds. We're planting seeds. The way I see it, it's like the story of Jack and the Beanstalk. You literally can give somebody a product, and overnight you could come back and that seed that you planted overnight can easily go through the roof. And really, if you're in embroidery to make money, then you want to work with companies, especially when it's repeat customers. Okay, the best thing about repeat customers, by the time you have your customers here in the middle and you transition them to dream customers, right? You already have their logos, you already tested their logos, everything's ready to go, and it's just clockwork after that. Best thing in the world when you have a dream customer is reorders. That to me is the definition of a dream customer, is a customer that places reorders, because you've already done all the heavy lifting, all the talking back and forth, the emails, the phone calls, that's all been done. And it's just a matter of, hey, send me 12 more, send me 24. Hey, can you add names to this? Now you're going to start doing the reorders with more options on top of that. This is definitely a topic that I want to continue talking about. So if you have any questions, any comments, anything you want to add, let me know, drop it down below, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.